Hi, I'm Cora Verdi. As a journalist, I'm passionate about exploring how decisions are made during moments of crisis and conflict. One of the most fascinating international conflicts is the Cuban Missile Crisis. Have you ever wondered how close the world came to a full-scale war between the US and the Soviet Union? Fortunately, the leaders managed to find a peaceful solution through diplomacy and UN negotiations. I'm excited to delve deeper into this crucial chapter of the Cold War. There's so much happening behind the scenes, leaders and politicians making decisions that could have changed everything, and I believe more people need to understand what went on. So, how did Cuba, an island republic in the Caribbean, become the focus of a global crisis involving the US? Let's find out. In this video, I'll explain what happened and why this story is so vital for everyone to understand. Are you ready? Let's dive in and uncover the true story behind this historic moment. Cuba is a republic in the Caribbean, known for its sugar plantations, natural resources, and long colonial history under Spain. Just 150 kilometers south of Florida, Cuba came under U.S. control after the Spanish-American War in 1898. Although it gained formal independence in 1902, the United States retained the right to intervene in Cuban affairs. Over time, American investors took control of key sectors of the economy, owning sugar plantations, banks, property, and tourist resorts. To Washington, Cuba was expected to stay within the American sphere of influence. Cuban democracy struggled to establish itself under repeated military pressure. In 1952, Army Commander Fulgencio Batista staged a coup and dismantled what remained of the Cuban democratic institutions. His authoritarian rule, built on corruption and inequality, led to unrest across the country.
Is jou zo complicado? Se siempre persuade haar garafas en afian?
Fidel Castro was a lawyer with radical political views. He was the son of a landowning father and a farming mother, and his engagement with diverse social groups helped him gain support among both the elite and the working class. In January 1959, after years of guerrilla warfare, Castro's fighters marched into Havana. Batista fled the country, and the revolutionary movement took control over Cuba. One of Castro's first moves was to implement social and economic reforms. Land redistribution, expanded access to healthcare and education, and job creation for the population. His goal was to build a more equal society and to break Cuba's dependence on the United States. Castro accused Washington of backing dictators across Latin America while ignoring widespread poverty and inequality. Castro appointed communists to senior posts in his government, and his rhetoric turned sharply critical of U.S. foreign policy. When the Cuban government nationalized industries and property, American companies lost millions in investments. Washington moved quickly. In 1960, President Eisenhower broke off diplomatic relations and imposed trade restrictions on Cuba. Officials in the United States saw Castro not just as a local problem, but as an ideological threat to influence across Latin America. The government decided that Castro's regime would not be tolerated in the Western Hemisphere, refusing to permit Cuba to change its course. In April 1961, under newly elected President Kennedy, the CIA backed an invasion of Cuba by anti-Castro exiles trained in Guatemala. The aim was to trigger a popular uprising that would remove Castro from power. However, the plan of a popular uprising failed. The failed invasion cost the U.S. $41 million and delivered a humiliating setback to the Kennedy administration. Critics slammed the poor planning, the lack of air support, and the failure to consult Congress. In reality, the military operation was not secret after all. Cuban intelligence and international newspapers had already reported on the training months before the invasion. For Castro, the invasion confirmed that the United States posed a direct threat to Cuba's independence. In response, he turned to the Soviet Union. By 1962, Cuba and the USSR had signed a mutual defense agreement. The Cuban Missile Crisis in October brought the world closer to nuclear war with far-reaching global consequences.